Hey friends, and welcome back to A Simple Truth. Now we are going through 2 Samuel 8 and 9 today. We're also going to take a look at 1 Chronicles 18. So we've been following David, and we're going to continue to see some more of that. We're also going to see the honoring of one of Saul's last line. I guess that's how I want to say that. Mephibosheth, I think that's how you say his name. So we'll take a look at that and the ramifications of that. Now, last time we looked at God's holiness, his sovereignty, his protection for his people, and that, and among other things, is what David is going to be seeking to honor, and that's how he's going to be honoring who God has chosen prior to him. Today, we're going to look at his conquests and also David's administration. Sounds kind of weird to talk about that, but we will. And then again, we'll talk about his kindness to Saul's remaining legacy and what that looks like. And it is no small kindness. So we will see that once again in 2 Samuel 8 and 9, and then 1 Chronicles 18. So, chapter 8. After it came to pass that David attacked the Philistines and subdued them, and David took Metheg-ammah from the hand of the Philistines, then he defeated Moab, forcing them down to the ground. He measured them off with a line. With 2 lines he measured off those to be put to death, and with 1 full line of those to be kept alive. So the Moabites became David's servants, and brought tribute. David also defeated Hadadezer, the son of Rehoboam, king of Zobah, as he went to recover the territory at the river Euphrates. David took from him 1,000 chariots, 700 horsemen, and 20,000 foot soldiers. Also, David hamstrung all the chariot horses, except that he spared enough of them for 100 chariots. When the Syrians of Damascus came to help Hadadezer, king of Zobah, David killed 22,000 of the Syrians. Then David put garrisons in Syria of Damascus, and the Syrians became David's servants and brought tribute. So the Lord preserved David wherever he went. And David took the shields of gold that had belonged to the servants of Hadadezer and brought them to Jerusalem. Also from Betah and from Berothai, cities of Hadadezer, King David took a large amount of bronze. When Toi, king of Hamath, heard that David had defeated all the army of Hadadezer, then Toi sent Joram, his son, to King David to greet him and bless him, because he had fought against Hadadezer and defeated him. For Hadadezer had been at war with Toi. And Joram brought with him articles of silver, articles of gold, and articles of bronze. King David also dedicated these to the Lord, along with the silver and gold that he had dedicated from all the nations which he had subdued, from Syria, from Moab, from the people of Ammon, from the Philistines, from Amalek, from the spoil of Hadadezer, son of Rehoboam, king of Zobah. And David made himself a name when he returned from killing 18,000 Syrians in the Valley of Salt. He also put garrisons in Edom. Throughout all Edom he put garrisons, and all the Edomites became David's servants, and the Lord preserved David wherever he went. So David reigned over all Israel, and David administered judgment and justice to all his people. Joab, the son of Zeruiah, was over the army. Jehoshaphat, the son of Elihud, was recorder. Zadok, the son of Ahitub, and Ahimelech, the son of Abiathar, were priests. Seraiah was the scribe. Benaniah, the son of Jehoiada, was both over the Cherethites and the Pelethites, and David's sons were chief ministers. Chapter 9. Now David said, "Is there anyone who is left of the house of Saul, that I may show him kindness for Jonathan's sake?" And there was a servant of the house of Saul, whose name was Ziba. So when they had called him to David, the king said to him, "Are you Ziba?" He said, "At your service." Then the king said, "Is there not still someone at the house of Saul, to whom I may show the kindness of God?" And Ziba said to the king, "There is still a son of Jonathan, who is lame in his feet." So the king said to him, "Where is he?" And Ziba said to the king, "Indeed, he is in the house of Machir, the son of Amiel, in Lo-debar." Then David sent and brought him to the house of Machir, the son of Amiel, from Lo-debar. Now when Mephibosheth, the son of Jonathan, the son of Saul, had come to David, he fell on his face and prostrated himself. Then David said, "Are you Mephibosheth?" And he answered, "Here is your servant." So David said to him, "Do not fear, for I will surely show you kindness for Jonathan for your father's sake, and will restore to you all the land of Saul at your grandfather, and you shall eat bread at my table continually. Then he bowed himself, and he said, What is your servant, that you should look upon such as I, as a dead dog as I? And the king called to Ziba, Saul's servant, and said to him, I have given to your master's son all that belonged to Saul and all his house. You, therefore, and your sons and your servants shall work the land for him, and you shall bring in the harvest, that your master's son may have food to eat. But Mephibosheth, your master's son, shall always eat bread at my table. Now Ziba had 15 sons and 20 servants. Then Ziba said to the king, According to all that my lord the king has commanded his servant, so will your servant do. As for Mephibosheth, said the king, he shall eat at my table, like one of the king's sons. Mephibosheth had a young son, whose name was Micah, and all who dwelt in the house of Ziba were servants of Mephibosheth. So Mephibosheth dwelt in Jerusalem, for he ate continually at the Lord's table, and he was lame in both feet. And 1 Chronicles 18. After this, it came to pass that David attacked the Philistines, subdued them, and took Gath and its towns from the hand of the Philistines. Then he defeated Moab, and the Moabites became David's servants, and he brought tribute. And David defeated Hadadezer, king of Zobah, as far as Hamath, as he went to establish his power by the river Euphrates. David took with him 1,000 chariots, 700 horsemen, and 20,000 foot soldiers. Also, David hamstrung all the chariot horses, except he spared enough for 100 chariots. When the Syrians of Damascus came to help Hadadezer, king of Zobah, David killed 22,000 of the Syrians. Then David put garrisons in Syria of Damascus, and the Syrians became David's servants and brought tribute. So the Lord preserved David wherever he went. And David took shields of gold that were brought on the servants of Hadadezer and brought them to Jerusalem, also from Tibhath and from Chun, cities of Hadadezer. David brought large amounts of bronze, with which Solomon made the bronze sea, the pillars, and the articles of bronze. Now when Tou, king of Hamath, heard that David had defeated all the army of Hadadezer, king of Zobah, he sent Hadoram, his son, to King David, to greet him and bless him, because he had fought against Hadadezer and defeated him, for Hadadezer had been at war with Tou. And Hadoram brought with him all kinds of articles of gold, silver, and bronze. King David also dedicated these to the Lord, along with the silver and gold that he had brought from all these nations, from Edom, from Moab, from the people of Ammon, from the Philistines, and from Amalek. Moreover, Abishai, the son of Zeruiah, killed 18,000 Edomites in the valley of Salt. He also put garrisons in Edom. And all the Edomites became David's servants, and the Lord preserved David wherever he went. So David reigned over all Israel, and administered judgment and justice to all his people. Joab, the son of Zeruiah, was over the army. Jehoshaphat, the son of Elihud, was recorder. Zadok, the son of Ahitub, and Abimelech, the son of Abiathar, were priests. Shavasa was the scribe. Benaniah, was the son of Jehoiada, was over the Cherethites and the Pelethites. And David's sons were chief ministers at the king's side. So immediately, what stuck out to me with those was just the continued reverence that David had for Saul's house. And he does that, I think he really does that for twofold sake, to definitely honor his good friend that died, Jonathan, right? His brother, basically. But also honoring God's chosen. And we see him say that as well. What can I do to show God's kindness to the remnant? And we see that, and it's a really cool moment with Jonathan's son, that he adopts him, not unlike we are adopted into God's kingdom, though we are fallen and though we are broken, and Mephibosheth being lame in both feet. But I just thought it was a cool recognition of what God can do and what God allows. David had a really good recognition of, hey, this man, this king that came before me, yes, he ended up being really corrupt and fallen, and he fell out of favor with God, is maybe a tame way to put it. But he fell out of favor with God, and yet God still anointed him. So David had this recognition of God is still loving and still gracious. And we see David acting after God's own heart there. So very, very cool. Anyway, that's all I took from it. That's not all I took from it, but yeah, I'll leave it at that. As always, thank you so much for joining, and hope you have a great rest of your day. See ya.